Good morning. My name is Roger Zehr, and today I'm going to present my presentation on employee evaluation and difficult conversations. So here's the agenda of how I'm going to accomplish all the requirements within this course. So I'm going to quickly discuss the employee's deficiency scenario in detail. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide a face-to-face or an example of a face-to-face evaluation on with Airman Snuffy. And with that, it will describe what the memorandum for record or the MFR is used for one of our evaluation forms, and the Air Force Form 931, which is also one of our evaluation forms. Also within that evaluation form, I will be providing Airman Snuffy an employee improvement plan. And then after the scenario, or the evaluation between myself and Airman Snuffy, I'll quickly discuss the thought-provoking questions. So the employee's deficiency scenario, the bottom line is Airman Snuffy, he has been late multiple times for work. And here's the details. Incident number one, he was scheduled to show at 07:30. However, he didn't arrive until 8:15 in the morning. He reported that he overslept and missed his usual bus. Then he had to wait for the next bus, which caused him to be late. Incident number two was on a Wednesday. Airman Snuffy was scheduled to report again at 7:30. Although he didn't arrive till 8:45, he reported again that he missed his bus. He reported that he did not get a lot of sleep due to homework, and that caused him to oversleep. And then incident number three was on a Friday. Airman Snuffy was scheduled to again report at 7:30, his normal duty time. However, he didn't arrive till 7:55. He reported that he left his phone in his friend's dorm room, so he was unable to hear his alarm. Then he had to rush to get ready and again missed the bus, which caused him to be late. As a result of these incidences, Airman Snuffy's been late 3 times in the last 3 weeks. And this has caused disruption to his work duty and affected other colleagues who have had to cover for him during this time until he actually arrives to work. This right here is a very realistic scenario. In fact, these are all examples that I've heard over the years, and now I would like to address these with Airman Snuffy. The two forms that I'm going to use during this scenario is the memorandum for record. This was a memorandum for record that was signed by a Tech Sergeant Watson on Airman Snuffy, and it has been provided to me as the lead supervisor to address this with him. And then also his Air Force Form 931, which is called the Airman Comprehensive Assessment. This is something that we typically sit down with the airmen and discuss at the beginning of their time at a work location, and then we usually give them like a midterm, and then there's the full evaluation at the end. So in this case, this would be a midterm, and I'd like to discuss how I would deal with this. So as I'm sitting down with Airman Snuffy, this is the first document I would pull up, and this is the memorandum for record, and I would explain to him that this is a document that your supervisor, Tech Sergeant Watson, gave to you, explaining and capturing exactly what you stated about each of these scenarios and why you were late. Tech Sergeant Watson also explained to you the importance of arriving on time, and also what the impact that has with your work and the people around you. So it's very important that before we go further with any documentation, that I just want to validate that this was discussed with you and see if you had any questions with this. So as a supervisor, I think it's really important to just validate everything and make sure that there's no other questions and that there's no miscommunication between the supervisor or the first line supervisor and the airman. So I think this is very, very important to do. All right, Airman Snuffy. So this right here is that Air Force Form 931, your Airman Comprehensive Assessment. I know that you're familiar with this document. This is that document that we first gave you when you first arrived here. That area highlighted in red are your initials to the right of each one of those things, stating that you fully understood. these actions. So responsibilities, accountability, Air Force culture, and yourself. And some of these things that you stated that you understood was like, I understand the importance of accomplishing tasks in a timely manner. Understand the importance of the Air Force core values, which one of them is excellence in all you do. The importance of applying situational awareness and sound judgment. The importance of leading by example. Respecting others and respecting yourself. These are all things that you stated that you understood, yet these are things that you have failed to uphold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide the blank document again, and I really want you to read each one of these and place your initials there if you truly understand what these really are. I think sometimes when you first get to an organization and you're given all these documents, it's very easy to just sign things without reading it. All right, the area highlighted in green, that is your critical role, and I want you to understand that you provide critical analysis to on adversary employment to assist policymakers in making actionable decisions, and not showing up on time affects that mission. You are a critical part to this mission. Now, the area highlighted in yellow, section number 6, this is your performance when it comes to leadership, primary duties, followership, and training. And you have accomplished and you've demonstrated acceptable ability in your capabilities of doing those things. And in fact, in 2 of those areas, which is skill level upgrade training and duty position requirements, you've excelled. And I really want you to understand that we do see these things. Now, on the second page here is where I've actually annotated you down in some of these categories. So under followership and leadership section, and also the whole airman concept section, I did mark you down. So as you can see in this section under followership and leadership, I placed that you failed to meet some of the standards. Now, some of these standards you have done excellent in. Your fitness standards, your dress and appearance, customs and courtesies have all been great, but it's that professional conduct that I did mark you down on. And in order for you to be marked up, you need to consistently meet all of these standards. So although you have demonstrated satisfactory technical proficiency, there's been constant issues or consistent issues with punctuality and accountability. And you, Airman Snuffy, as a leader, you failed to set that example for the other airmen who by not meeting these standards of timeliness and dependability. So immediate corrective actions are necessary to address these issues. And unfortunately, this has also affected your whole airman concept. So you fail to adhere to the Air Force core values, uh, which is excellence in all you do. So let's step those up and let's fix these things. Now, in the area highlighted blue is an area I would like to sit down and work with you on. And that's the getting to know you airman. So I know that your supervisor may have discussed some of these things, but I want to figure out what are some goals. I know you've already set some goals like fitness goals and financial goals and academic goals, but we're going to add one of these goals for self-improvement. So we're going to create that SMART, the specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound goal of how you can fix this issue and how you can arrive on time to complete your job. Now, typically the third page is the continuation page, and it's fully blank, so we could just mark some, take some notes and stuff like that. But what I've decided to do is to place an employee improvement plan specifically designed for you, and I'd like to discuss some of these things. Now, the goal of this plan is to improve your punctuality and accountability in accordance with Air Force standards. The objectives, I have 3 objectives for you. Number 1, arrive on time for all scheduled duty hours and appointments. Number 2, be accountable for all tasks and responsibilities assigned. And number 3 is to demonstrate a positive attitude and set a good example for the airmen around you. Now, here are some strategies. Number 1, you will participate in mandatory time management training course within the next 30 days. Now, this is a course I've actually attended, and it's very, very useful. Number 2 is you will meet with your supervisor on a weekly basis to discuss your progress and revive receive any additional feedback, guidance, and coaching. So make sure that you work with Techstars and Watson on figuring out a good time to be able to do that. And I will follow up to make sure that these things happen. Also, you will keep a personal log of your activities and accomplishments for the next 60 days to help increase that accountability. I think it's very important for you to understand your impact of this mission. And by doing that, it's not only going to help you for accountability, but it's going to help us to be able to highlight some of the accomplishments that you have done. And number four is you will seek feedback from other peers around you and your supervisor on a regular basis. To identify areas of improvement. So if you notice some other airmen that are doing really, really good things, get that feedback from them. I really want you to learn from this. Now, the timeline of this is this employee improvement plan is going to be in effect for the next 90 days. Your supervisor will evaluate your progress, and at the end of each week, and provide that feedback, provide you feedback on your performance. Now, at the end of the 90-day period, your overall progress will be evaluated on this document, on this Air Force 931, so we can kind of keep this for your record. Now, some consequences. If you fail to meet these objectives outlined in this improvement plan, there are additional corrective actions that we can take, and some of those may be disciplinary, and that's just a waste of everyone's time, and we don't want to go there. So, on the other hand, if you do make significant progress in achieving the objectives, you could be eligible for positive recognition and awards. So your decisions and your actions really are up to you. You know, do you want to get awards? Do you want to take all this effort and fix yourself? Or do we want additional paperwork, which could ultimately result in possibly loss of pay or loss of rank, additional duty hours, all of those things, and we don't want it to go there. So I really hope that that you kind of open your eyes and kind of see the seriousness of this, and let's work together. Let's follow this employee improvement plan, and let's just make yourself better for the future. And hopefully, you can take this and learn from this and apply these techniques that we're using with you as a supervisor on your airmen, because I guarantee you're going to be dealing with some younger airmen in the future that are going to be dealing with these same problems, just as I did when I was younger. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Now, to address these three thought-provoking questions, I thought I'd discuss that on here too. So, what happens when you're addressing a deficiency with an employee that impacts other employees? I think the big thing here is that you have to try to address this without causing any unnecessary stress or conflict. And depending on the severity of the issue, it may be necessary to actually involve other employees in order to address this problem effectively. It kind of brings us to that second question. If an issue is addressed, but it impacts others within the area, what should you consider when sharing this information? So, when sharing this information with others, it's important to maintain confidentiality and only share information with other individuals on a need to know basis. So, if a change is needed that also changes what somebody else does, it may be necessary to communicate that change to that person, but only provide them with the information that they need to know to kind of complete their job. So it's important to be clear and concise when communicating the change, and provide any necessary training or other support to ensure that the person understands how to implement this change effectively. But again, without going into the detail of what's causing this, in some cases you may not need to. And then, if issues should remain confidential, what and how much information, or what and how much should or could you share if a change is needed that also changes what somebody else does? If an issue impacts multiple employees, it may be necessary to communicate this issue and necessary changes to the entire team or group. However, you should be very careful to that the information shared is accurate, and the big thing is it doesn't place unfair blame on one individual. It's important to focus on the problems and the solutions rather than pointing and assigning blame to an individual. There was this book of getting to yes, um, which talk about negotiating agreements without giving in. It's basically creating an environment in dealing with issues um, without while keeping relationships intact, and how important it is to keep those relationships intact. And additionally, it may be helpful to involve the effective employee. In this case, this was Airman Snuffy, getting Snuffy involved with the how to actually fix this problem. So I would have to say these are very thought-provoking questions. It caused me to kind of do a little bit of reading and get some tips on how to address this and kind of think about the effects of sharing information and what that can actually do to an environment around you.